Have you ever been tempted by something that looks good in the moment, only to realize that it could cost you everything? That's the story of Lot, a man who chose what seemed attractive, easy, and promising, but learned that appearances can be deceiving, and instant gratification can come with a heavy price. I'm standing here overlooking the plains of the Jordan River Valley. While it looks like a dry wilderness, Genesis13:10 describes this land as well-watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord. This is where Lot, Abraham's nephew, chose to settle when the two men parted ways. At the time, Abraham and Lot were living close together in the hill country between Bethel and Ai. But the land couldn't sustain both families and their herds. Quarreling broke out between Abraham and Lot's herdsmen. To keep the peace, Abraham suggested that they separate. Remarkably, Abraham, though the elder, gave Lot the first pick of land.
And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their numbers were great. So Abraham said unto Lot, If you will take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
Lot looked out over the plain of the Jordan. It was lush, fertile, and full of promise for his flocks. On the surface, it seemed like the obvious best choice. So Lot chose the more attractive land for himself and moved east to the plain. But what looked like a blessing would come at a very high price.
The Jordan! No one crossed the river! No one! My two fine, courageous daughters. Our long pilgrimage is finally over.
Lot made his home near Sodom, a city notorious for wickedness and depravity. And before long, he was caught in the crossfires of a regional war. After the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and the land was overrun, Lot was taken captive along with all of his possessions. Abraham took his servants, trained them for war, and went on a daring rescue mission to bring his nephew Lot back from captivity. Even after that ordeal, Lot stayed near Sodom.
It is our pleasure to give you pleasure, so let us make you comfortable.
You're wasting your time. I didn't come here to be drowned in wine and smothered in cushions.
And though Lot was not an evil man himself, his choice to take the lush land with bad neighbors caught up with him yet again. God sent two angels into the city one evening. Lot saw them from afar as he was sitting in his seat in the gate. And with night approaching, he insisted that they stay in his house, away from the danger and depravity of the streets. Sure enough, after Lot brought the angels into his home and fed them, the men of Sodom surrounded his home, banged on the door, and demanded the newcomers be brought out to them. The angels ended up rescuing Lot by striking the men of Sodom with blindness. Then they warned Lot to take his daughters and son-in-law out of the city, as they were going to destroy it for its wickedness.
We bring a message for you, Lot.
You must go. You must lead your people to safety.
Lot tried to warn his sons-in-law, but they laughed at him. Once morning came, the angels grabbed Lot, his wife, and two daughters by the hands. They dragged them outside the city, warning them to go to the mountains for safety and not to look back. Lot's wife did not heed the warning. She turned to look back and became a pillar of salt. It must have been tempting to look as God rained down brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, wiping out the cities and everything that grew on the ground. The land that had once appeared lush and full of promise turned to ashes before Lot's eyes. His possessions, his home, his community were all gone. In the end, only Lot and his two daughters survived. And even they would make destructive choices that left a painful legacy. Lot's story is sobering. He chose what looked good on the surface, but what seemed like gain and the easy choice ended in loss and grief. Abraham by contrast, allowed his nephew to choose first. He was left with what appeared to be the lesser portion. Yet he trusted God, and God blessed him abundantly. Abraham's descendants flourished into a mighty nation as numerous as the stars, following God's path for him, often took turns that didn't make sense, and it probably required a lot of faith. But Abraham's faith was strong. He followed God's lead unquestioningly. Sometimes the path that God calls us to doesn't look appealing or make sense to us at face value. Sometimes it requires sacrifice, patience, and faith that doesn't make sense in the moment. But Abraham's example reminds us, when we choose God's way, even if it looks smaller or more difficult, it leads to life and blessing. Lot looked at the surface of things and chose instant gratification. He chose land that looked lush and fertile, but was inhabited by evil, depraved people. And in an instant, that lush land and nearly his whole family were turned into dust. Lot's story reminds us that instant gratification can cost us everything in the long run. So the question is, will we choose what looks good in the moment, or will we trust God to lead us to His best?
If this teaching blessed you, help us pass the blessing on. Ignite the Truth is brought to life through the generous support of Christians around the world. Partner with us, share it widely, and get ready. Another teaching from Israel is coming your way next week.